Let's see some birding filmed with the Canon R5 MKII and the 200 to 800 RF Canon lens. It is a nice lens. Here is my review. At the end of this video I will also show you some footage filmed with 100 to 500, again with RF. Here you see the image stabilization is not always perfect. It's not exactly freehand, it's without any stative, but I put my arms on something, what was there, just to stabilize the image more than only with the IBIS and the IS from the lens. You see, most of the time the combination is quite okay, but it's not perfect. If I would add a stative, everything would look more professional. And here you saw that I lost the autofocus, so the combination is not staying always exactly on the eye of the bird. It would be nice. It's much better than it was some generations before, or also what it was with the R5, the original one. But it's not always perfect. Sometimes we are losing the focus. And here, because I filmed some minutes, different birds, you will see what you can expect if you would also do the same thing. Now you saw it was for a longer time not really sharp, not on the eye. Now it is again okay. But this is what you can expect if you would do birding. And the image stabilization is not so good like that what you see here. Here it looks a little bit better because I filmed everything in RAW 60 FPS, 8K RAW 60 FPS. And now it's playback at the half speed. So I set the speed of the image to 50%. Now this is another bird in the tree, a crow. And again, it's a little bit more stable because I use again the 50% slow motion. And when you play back in slow motion, everything looks a little bit more stable. In original speed, it would be a little bit more shaky. Yeah. If it's played back like that, I would say somehow you can use it, but it's not close so nice like if you would use a stative. And here you see it's more freehand, and therefore I was shaking much more. Here I was leaning somewhere, so this hand was freehand. And the best if you are shooting without any stative is, in my opinion, that you put your both hands somewhere on a rock or wherever, whatever you find there, or you go to the bottom, you lie down to the ground, and then you can get a stabilized image, a little bit more than what we get here. And for this kind of filming, maybe a little stative would be okay. What you don't have to take with you is the big stative. That would be necessary if you would film with the old heavy one lens. And I will show you just a small comparison between the 100 to 500, the 200 to 800, and the 500mm, the EF f4. There you will see that the EF is not so stable like the rest. But this is exactly what you can expect if you are filming birds. Somehow usable, but not really professional because of the little shakes what you have. This was another bird, but you see you can get quite close with the 800mm. This was in the air. It is the birds what we have around here. This is again a kind of a crow, Maybe it's a young one, because here it looks a little bit strange. Usually they look with a black head and everything is black. So yeah, I guess this just would be a young crow. And again, everything that I show here is in 50% slow motion. And again, you see the autofocus is not always perfect. It is okay. And like you saw before in the trees, most of the times the autofocus will stay there where you want it. But if you would do a cutting at the end, I guess there are some parts what you should cut out, especially when it loses the focus from the eye. Maybe this is a little bit boring, but yeah, I just want to show you, if you use the autofocus, everything is shot with the autofocus, so no manual focus, and most of the parts filmed here are okay. The movements are not always so nice, and there you can see sometimes that it's not so sharp, but this is what you can expect from this camera combination with the lens. I'm happy with that. The bokeh here looks okay, but if you would use a f4, it would be much nicer. What is not so perfect on this 200 to 800 millimeters is that you would need a very big, not a very big, I think a 105 millimeter ND filter. And I have some other lenses what are smaller, I think 88. And so I have the 88 ND filter, and so I can't use them on my 200 to 800 millimeter. Here you see it is hunting, not really big things, but he will hunt here a worm, and then he will just eat it in some seconds. Here he found the worm, and then he cuts it and eats one part. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit disgusting, but yeah, this is nature. And I was happy that he just found a worm and I filmed it. So the ugly crow, the teeny ugly crow was until now, and most of the crows here look like this one. Let's just leave it like it is. Here I didn't know if the crow was hit, was hurt, and what it is doing on the ground. I thought maybe if it has something, I would go there to help it. But he was just enjoying, yeah, the day and cleaning up his feathers. And yeah, he had nothing. You will see it later. Up to here I thought, oh, okay, I never saw a crow behaving like this one. And yeah, here you saw he stand up, he's jumping away. And then I thought, okay, really strange behavior. Now you see without a stative, if I go over there, I'm shaking quite a lot, even if we use 50% slow motion. And now he's again in the flowers and doing a similar thing. But again here, the camera lost the autofocus. So this was a little bit sad that the focus is not on the bird. Yeah, but it's autofocus and it's put so that it should be a focus on the animal. And I use eye animal. So yeah, this was sad. Now it found again the bird, and you realize that it's not always perfect. But I would say it's better than if I would try just to manually focus and I would shake even more. What I have also as a problem is if something is very short, I can just try to keep my breath for not shaking the big objective. But if you have to breathe, you are shaking a little bit more. And so, yeah, this is about what you can get. But again, this filming was where I put my arms onto a rock. There was a little rock. And then you can get this kind of image stabilization. But also if it's moving, then it's shaking way more than if you use a stative. On the other hand, with a stative, usually I'm not so fast to track a bird. And if I'm freehand or just putting my elbow somewhere, then I'm fast enough just to follow most of the time. Not exactly good, but somehow to follow the bird. And I leave it here filming a longer time that you just can see without the stative what you can expect if you would also go out and try to film with this combination. If you wanted to look a little bit more professional, then you would have to take a stative with you. I don't know with a monopod how much this would bring, but I guess if you put your both elbows somewhere, maybe it's more stable than if you use a monopod. And up to now, everything is filmed at 800 millimeters with this R5 Mark II and RF 200 to 800 combination. Here you also see the bokeh is not so nice because it had a little bit sun, and so it was not using the f9, I think, what it could do at 800 millimeters. It was more open. And this is a sad thing. If I had an ND filter, then the bokeh here would look a little bit nicer. Here also the flowers in the background. It's not a really nice bokeh. That was used with the RF 500 and a teleconverter to have just a more beautiful bokeh, but this lens is so heavy compared to the other lenses I have that I almost always leave it at home, and this is a reason why I will put it on a selling platform just to get a little bit money back, because I don't use it. It is nice, and I would say if you want to take a photo, then it is the best lens because of the bokeh. But I found out that the autofocus is faster on the 100 to 500 EF and on the 200 to 800 EF. No, both are RF, and they are faster than when I use the EF, my 500 millimeter f4 IS L lens. This was the most expensive lens I ever bought, new those times. And now if I sell it, I don't know if I will get maybe $2,500 or something like that. Maybe if I'm lucky, I could get $3,000. Here you see, it is nice to film with the 800. And the good thing, you can go out and really you don't need to have a stative. Some years ago, before the R5, the first one I had, I sold that maybe 2 years ago when I bought the when I bought the R5C, which I still have. On those times I was more into taking photographs, and then I could use my EF 500 f4, because for a photo you just have to keep it once here, take the photo, and everything is okay. But for videos it is too heavy without stative. But yes, some of my really nice things I filmed have been with the big stative I have and the EF lens. And I guess it wouldn't be so nice if I would have shot the same thing with the 800, but the 800 comes closer to any motive than if I'm filming with 500 millimeters. And yeah, you can get some. Here you see again, I lost the autofocus, and just leave it there that you can see what you can expect if you would also go out and film. For photography is another thing, but this review is not for photography. It is just to show you real life what the lens can do in combination with the R5 Mark II. And overall, I would say for this kind of filming, I like it. It is nice, yeah. And now still, I think 3 shots with this lens, and then I will switch to the 100 to 500 filmed, I guess, at 500 millimeters, where you also can see some close-up to birds. You can go closer with 100 to 500, especially if you want to film some insects, then this one would be better. But for other things, just to bring everything closer to you, like this, what we see here, 800 millimeters are really nice. And it's more practicable if you use the 200 to 800 millimeters than the 100 to 500 with a teleconverter. If you use a teleconverter 1.4 and the 100 to 500, you will get almost as close, but I think you're a little bit weaker in the aperture. Here again, I like this when this bird, the crow, is just making some things what you don't see every day. And yeah, it looks like if he's cleaning up, but of course he's searching for some insects or something to eat, or some bread, or I don't know what he exactly searches up there. And I think this is a last filmed part, the last footage with 800 millimeters. And so when this bird will fly away, the rest will be filmed with the 500 millimeter, no, with 100 to 500 RF. The image stabilization is better with the RF 100 to 500 and the RF 200 to 800 than it is with the EF 500 millimeter. Also, the autofocus is slower when I use my EF lens compared to both RF lenses. The next footage is shot with the RF 100 to 500 millimeter. Here this is something I filmed from up to down at 500 millimeters with 100 to 500 RF. And yeah, I would say from the sharpness, I see no difference between these two RF lenses. Maybe the image stabilization is a tick better here, but also it has one mode more. So it's if you use this kind of situations where nothing will be moving away, then you can put the the image stabilization to 1, and it's dedicated for that. And it has a 2, I think, when everything flies horizontally, and a 3 when it's vertically flying. Here again, you see sometimes it is losing the autofocus also with the 100 to 500. Yeah, but I was sitting here and this bird just came closer as there was a little bit food, bread on the ground, and he came just to eat it. And yeah, I think here you can see that the image quality is very similar. And yeah, just my feeling says that maybe a tick, the image stabilization from the 100 to 500 is a little bit better. Well, this is reversed. It's again half speed and reversed. Therefore it looks a little bit strange. But I found that it is looking funny, and I just reverse the image. This is again normal in half speed. Again 500 millimeters, and you will see again it will lose the autofocus, so not always perfect. It's a good combination for the autofocus, but not perfect. I would say it is better than before with the EF. And let's go to 700 millimeters. Here is my review for the RF 200 to 800 millimeters. The plus of this is it is the most flexible objective of the three objectives I showed here. It is the best for birding because you bring the birds closer to you if they are far away. Let's say farther than 3 meters. It is, I would say, very good in the image stabilization and in the autofocus. The weight is okay. It's not as light as the 100 to 500 RF, but it is way lighter than the EF 500 millimeters. So if you want just to go out and walk around, this is still good. While in this case, the 100 to 500 is better, but yeah, you can't get the bird so close, and so my preferred one objective is the 200 to 800. Now the bokeh is not so nice like with the EF 500 millimeters, and it is not really good if you want to use an ND filter, because if you go to 800 millimeters, you will have a trouble to reach the ND filter, and you cannot use the ND filter with the lens head on it. Now the RF 100 to 500 is the lightest, so this is the best for that. It is also the best if you want to do some macro, because you can get much closer. Let's say with 500 millimeters, you can go to maybe 1.2 meters distance to an insect, and so it is closer. While with 200 to 800 millimeters, you will have to have, I think, about 3 meters distance, and with the EF, the closest you can go is 4.5 meters. The ND filter is okay, usable with the RF 100 to 500, because the lens hood has a hole, and there you can make some adjustments, and it is a 88 millimeter ND filter, and I also have some other lenses that have 88 millimeters, and so I can use the same ND filter on different lenses. Now the bokeh is again not the best in the RF 100 to 500, maybe a tick better than in the 200 to 800, but the bokeh is the nicest on the EF at 500 millimeters, as it has f4. If you use a teleconverter on the 100 to 400 on the 100 to 500 millimeters, then you cannot zoom all the reach what it has. So you will be limited onto maybe 400 to 700 millimeters with the 1.4 teleconverter. and the rest, yeah, is just not usable. So this makes the 200 to 800 way more flexible. And yeah, what should I say about the EF 500 millimeters? It is maybe the one where you can make the best photos because it has the nicest bokeh. But for filming, the autofocus and especially for handhold filming, it's not the best because the IS is not so good. I will be shaking way more than with the other two lenses. So I would say you can reach very nice results with this one, but you need a heavy stative. And the AF is slower than with the other ones. And the AF also makes some like jumps, like duck duck, while the other ones are smooth. The RF are better in my eyes, but with the autofocus. Also, the autofocus is way louder in the EF lens. And so yeah, my verdict is for photography, the EF may be the best one, but not for videography. There I would suggest to go with 100 to 500 or even better with 200 to 800. Because yeah, if you want to film birds, it is nice if you can get them close. Not macro birds, so if the bird is really 1 to 2 meters away from you, then the 100 to 500 is better, but everything more with a distance of more than 3 meters, then the 200 to 800 millimeters is way better. If you don't have enough light, if it's getting a little bit darker, of course the EF 500 millimeter f4 would be also better than the other two lenses. I would say this was my review of these lenses and hope to see you next time. Bye!